Hey everybody, it's Michael Goldsman here, and I'm making this video just prior to an auspicious day known as Guru Purnima. In India, this particular day happens once a year, and it is a full moon day where being in the presence of your guru is considered to be very, very important and very highly auspicious. It's the one day of the year where you can access that person's grace, their divine consciousness most directly. And I thought I'm offering a group clearing on this particular day, an activation, a connection with masters, with angels from the earth and even in other realms during this time. But I wanted to make this video just to talk about this idea of the guru in general. It can seem like a very unusual thing here in the West, where we might think of a person, we would seek out a person, perhaps male or female, and that person might become our guru. And what exactly does that mean? And do we need to find a person like that? It's hard for me to give a solid answer either way. I can only really talk about my own personal experience. And growing up, as I did in Christianity, there's really one guru that is talked about in Christianity, and that's Jesus. Very much in the Eastern mentality, Jesus is really considered to be the guru of the Christians. Even though he is not physically here, your belief in him or connection to him would hopefully and ideally in that tradition fulfill that role. In the East, especially in India, you really see living masters who are physically here now that you can actually physically get in contact with, and they can become a more than just a teacher to you. They're actually imparting to you or helping to develop your spiritual energy, your consciousness. They're helping to clear your karma. They're helping to give you something that you can't get by just the mind or by just thinking about it or by reading about something. So this kind of guru can exist in a more non-physical form or in a physical form. The idea here, the most important thing, though, is that it's very difficult for us to access the divine or for us to access what we might call God through our ordinary human awareness. That's kind of the point I want to make here. It's difficult, if not impossible, for us to access God through our human mind only. That's why it's pointless to just intellectually study a bunch of sacred texts or attend a bunch of lectures or get a bunch of degrees in some sort of theological topic. We see over and over again that people who do that often don't really have a quickening of their spiritual sense. They have a lot of mental noise about what they think is God, but they may or may not have actually had an experience or an awakening, as the word is used in the East, of God. An awakening of God isn't a mental process. It's not something you can attain to by reason or by logic or by reading a bunch of books and suddenly you have an awakening. Reading and studying certainly can be important for the development of the mind. The mind is a really important quality for all of us to be able to use here on earth. There's something beyond that, the realm of God, the realm of spirit, that is beyond what the mind can really handle. It's an experience. This is where the idea of the guru really comes in. So getting back to what I said earlier, for some people, they may be able to access this spiritual presence through a non-physical or even an archetypal guru, a person who may or may not have had a physical lifetime, but is largely believed in. There's a heartfelt connection. There's a worship even of that being. For some people, depending on where they're at in their own unique evolution, that may be enough for them to get more from that connection than just a mental process or just some mental ideas, but to actually have an awakening of spirit. For other people, perhaps being in the presence of a physical being that we can encounter here on the earth, the various awakened beings who are here, that may be an important part of the path. Speaking back to my own path again, I feel that when I began to perhaps seek out, or when this being sought me out, I don't really know how it exactly works. They say that the guru, when the student is ready, the guru will send out these invisible signals and somehow the student will be drawn to that person. For me, when I began to walk more conscious spiritual path, began to open my energy through spiritual healing work, through clearing work, I didn't have a precise intellectual framework, like it had to be a certain being or it had to be done in a certain way. I was just becoming more spiritually open. And I connected with, I would say, my first major spiritual teacher, a being who is considered to be a guru and master, an enlightening presence. You just are around this being's presence and you begin to vibrate at a higher frequency. And it's not a learned process. As a matter of fact, many gurus teach through silence. They don't actually speak or teach concepts at all because they realize that that's not going to give you an experience of God. Only by having a silent meditative experience or an awakening or opening, that's how you're going to have this experience of the divine or of God. So again, going back to my own experience, I found that being in the presence of this being began to give me an inner knowing of awakening something deeper within me, something more fundamental, something more truthful than just a mental concept. It's hard to describe this to someone else because you only know it if you've had it. And you may seek it out knowing there's some part of you that is knowing what it will be when it happens, but you may not know how to describe it before that time. So guru can refer to a being. This being can be mythical, can be historic, someone who's not physically here. It can be someone who's physically here. Perhaps the physical being is a little bit easier to work with in some cases because you have that physical connection. And when a physical being is in an awakened state, there's really a palpable change. There's a palpable sense when you're in their energy field. I get chills even thinking about that now. Some of the kind of more personalized encounters I had with this divine being really earlier in my own process. Even beyond just the physical being that we call a guru, though, there is the guru principle. And this is perhaps the most significant. Guru, many of you who know this will realize the word means dispeller of darkness. And this is not only a being who can do this, but this is a spiritual principle that is active in all of our lives to a greater or lesser extent. We're all here, whatever our degree of conscious awakening or not, we're all here to experience a dispelling of the darkness of ignorance and karma and the stuff that we've accumulated that's not really the truth of our being. We're here to dispel that progressively. Sometimes it goes faster, sometimes it goes slower for different people. And to have an awakening or an experience or an energizing of the more divine state of our being, the divinity that is within us, the truth of our being, the more authentic state. In a sense, those of you who watched my videos, participated in clearing work with me, know that my work is primarily focused on doing what I'm calling karma clearing through the power of working with higher consciousness, working with spirit. We're able to clear out these imprints that you have accumulated from past times and from your ancestors and all of this. There's a lot of that for most people. We call it karma. We're able to clear that out of the way, but that in and of itself, the ability to even have that experience, the ability to even become more karmically cleared is an expression of the guru principle, the dispelling of darkness, the awakening of the light of our own being. So all of us are being a little bit guided or greatly guided by this guru principle, depending on the level that we're allowing that to happen. Some people are walking around more in an ignorant state, but that guru principle is still there because God is where they are. God is the truth of their being, even if they don't realize it yet, just as God is the truth of your being and my being. Even in watching this video, you probably do realize that to a greater extent than some. So the guru principle, the movement from darkness to light, is something active within me. It's something active within you. It can be embodied. We call a guru a specific kind of person who has, in my view, This is a person whose primary identification is with the spirit that is the truth of their being, rather than with their story, their history, just their physical form, their name, where I was born, what my name is, what my job is. For most of us, what my physical body looks like. For most of us, that's kind of our primary identification. But the guru might be said to be one who has, not through a mental process, not through reading a bunch of books, but really often through meditation and through an awakening or a quickening of their spirit that they have had through their own guru. It's it's a lineage thing. One being, one awakened being, awakens others, and then those beings become empowered to help in the awakening process of still others. And those beings, the guru is able to anchor that principle and able to help others to experience it as well. So in a sense, we're all, no matter our spiritual religious tradition or lack thereof, we're all participating in the guru principle to some degree. And coming back to what I said when I started this video, Guru Purnima in the Vedic tradition, which is something near and dear to my heart, this particular tradition, which helps us to recognize certain times and power times of the year when certain energies are more potent or more activated for our own use. This one full moon of the year, which tends to occur in the month of July, is a time when being in the presence of your guru, if you have one consciously, is considered most auspicious. If you don't have one, you can work with the guru principle and even with beings known as ascended masters. There are certainly beings incarnated on the earth plane right now and beings who are not incarnated that are available to you during this day, during this night, to be able to, and whose total commitment and job and joy it is to be able to pass along their empowerment, their awakening to you when you ask for it. So I would encourage you to make some time for yourself to do that. Many of us really enjoy seeking out even the writings or teachings of awakened beings. It's not that, again, that the writing itself, just as a mental concept, is what's doing the awakening, but the energy of the evolved master is with their words and is overlighting even things that they may have said or written decades ago or hundreds of years ago. So I just wanted to make this little video to encourage you to, and maybe give you a little bit of clarification about guru, about the guru principle active in your life, about the specific full moon known as Guru Purnima, taking advantage. We each have to live every year that we're alive on this planet. And throughout the year, there are certain dates and times that we can learn about that are auspicious for anchoring in certain types of clearing or healing frequencies of the divine. I tend to like researching that and often scheduling clearing dates, group clearings on these particular days. And Guru Purnima, the full moon of July, is particularly important and auspicious for this purpose. I wrote here in my notes I wanted to share in this video today, one last thing, that until you have an authentic experience of God, nothing you do in life is going to be all that helpful for really changing things, for really evolving, for really stepping out of just what is slated for you in this life by virtue of your own past life karma, your own ancestral karma. You won't be able to change things all that much until you have an authentic experience of God, not some conceptual God, not some religious God, but the God that is the truth of your own being. And the guru, both the principle of the guru and the physical being of the guru, can help you, perhaps is the only thing that can actually help you to have that. I've seen too many times people with advanced degrees in religion, they've read every book, and yet they've never made that movement into a more authentic spirituality. It becomes limited by their own mentality. And what we need to do is sink into our own hearts and our own experience and connect there. So thank you so much for watching, friends.